Welcome back, Wolfpack Velas here, and I'm about to blow your mind with Skarmory. So let's go and look at the stats. 140 on defense, huge defensive tank. Then we also have some other things, 70 on the speed, 70 on the special defense, 65 on the hit. This seems very familiar. That's right, guys. If you haven't noticed it, Skarmory is actually a mirror to Mantine in a very interesting way. So when we go to Pokemon Showdown, I'll break that down a bit. But we are dealing with similar stats. That Skarmory is just a huge defensive tank, while Mantine is going to be the huge special defensive tank, and Skarmory is going to be better physical, and those are the trade-offs right there. So stats, we've already pretty much seen them with Mantine, and let's just get to the Steel Flying typing. Also, both a really interesting flying and elemental combo. So Steel Flying is going to give you 2 times weakness to fire, 2 times weakness to electric, and a whole bunch of resistances and immunity. So a much better defensive typing than water and flying, but it's still like ridiculous. Look at this: fairy, dragon, psychic, grass, steel, bug, flying, and normal resist. That's just absurd for only 2 weaknesses and you get 2 immunities. That's why we see Skarmory quite a bit. It is definitely a used Pokemon. So right here in Pokemon Showdown, 140, 80. Those are our special spreads. And then for our physical, 80 and 140. Mind blown. So, trivia in our how to use for today. As for that, Skarmory is going to be a setup Pokemon. So in a weird way, Mantine with its Defog is trying to undo what Skarmory does. And Skarmory is a very efficient setup Pokemon that even hitting with a super effective hit, it still out-tanks it. So it is a very tanky Pokemon. And mostly we are going to run it as a full defense tank. But as always, we can split it up and you just do the 252 however we want. But mostly you're going to want to run it with a huge special defense tank. Now, for those guys who have battled back in 4th generation, Skarmbliss. If you've heard that one before, you shudder. It is a very filthy thing to deal with. And now that we have Eviolite, it's Eviolite Chansey, so it's Chanscar? I don't know how the adaptations have been, but Skarmbliss, pretty brutal. If they had a special attacker, you're just going to Chansey or Blissey, and then you go, okay, soft-boiled, eat up the hit, toxic them, and then you just kind of like spread toxic throughout their team, and then Skarmory comes in. So they switch on to a physical attacker, you bring in Skarmory, and then you roost up all of their damage, and then Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is so stupid with this because it's like, oh, they come in and take poison damage. They also take Stealth Rock damage on switching in. Sometimes you even go for spikes. You also have Whirlwind. So if there's something that Skarmory doesn't want to deal with and maybe Blissey's fainted or you don't want to switch into Blissey or something, you use Whirlwind. So it's like, okay, I can take this hit. I can only take one. Like, you're not in direct one-hit KO range. Very few things just outright one-hit KO Skarmory. So you Whirlwind it away, and then the new Pokemon comes in, takes Stealth Rock damage. And depending on how well you can handle it, you switch, you roost. It's just really broken what Skarmory can do. And sturdy ability. So it just makes it even more likely that if you've roosted back up to full health or leftovers get you back up to full health because you're tanking so well, you're going to be very strong. And that's just how Skarmbliss works and Skarmory in general, and then you're just a huge defensive tank. And you can pair it with any other special tank. Now Mantine, I wouldn't recommend it because you can't use Defog on it. But if you have another Pokemon, Moongus with Regenerator, pretty nasty because that can get pretty special. We also have any Pokemon with Regenerator or some form of heal, recover. It's just really brutal to deal with, and that's Skarmory. So it's pretty much Stealth Rocks, Roost, Brave Bird, Whirlwind. Now instead of Whirlwind, I've also seen Spikes. Whirlwind is going to be good because if they're like, oh, I can beat this Skarmory by using Calm Mind, Dragon Dance, any kind of setup, you just Whirlwind them away. Sucks to be them. You can have Spikes, and then Brave Bird is going to be a good amount of damage. That Brave Bird has such high base power. Even though the recoil doesn't help you as a tank, you have leftovers and roost, so you can get over that recoil really well. Huge base power, getting amplified. Even without investing in your attack, you're still doing a good chunk of your opponent's health. So Skarmory can fight for itself. You can also just add Toxic to the mix and become a huge stall tank. And Skarmory, if you're not ready for it, going to be too much to handle for a lot of people. And then we also have a weak armor Skarmory. So this one, complete gimmick, off meta. Like, there's one main way of running Skarmory. It's going to be some kind of setup with a couple of little mixes, and that's like it. That's like the only way to run Skarmory. It's very bland Pokemon on that set. Even though it's a very used and very strong Pokemon, with this, it has the weak armor ability. Physical attack hits this Pokemon, defense is lowered by 1, speed is raised by 1. We have so much defense, you're almost guaranteed to survive any defensive hit. So what I was thinking is max out hit points, max out speed. Use Swords Dance. Now you're going to have enough hit point bulk to survive pretty much any attack. Preferably you want a physical one. Now your speed is going to go up by 1. By fully investing into your speed, you're going to hit a really nice speed tier at around 393 speed at level 100. that's going to give you a lot of outspeeds. And with the Swords Dance, you don't need to attack invest because you're already going to be close to 400 attack using Brave Bird. And as we know with Talonflame with even less attack than that still pumps out a stupid amount of damage. So Brave Bird, you can also invest as needed. You know, if you feel more confident that you're always going to eat that physical hit, just invest like that. And now you're still really tanky, getting closer to 500 attack from that Swords Dance, and then you just blow people up. As for items, tough call, Leftovers and Citrus Berry. You're not really trying to be tanky because you're losing defenses, so I don't think Sustain is really needed too much with this. It does help with your Roost Engine after Brave Birding, so maybe like you Brave Bird below half, Citrus Berry gives you more health, so that's more killing power in the end, and that's pretty good. Or you go with Life Orb. With Life Orb, it does give you that safety to fully invest into hit points because you are making up for that damage and then boosting after the Life Orb. Then you have Brave Bird and Iron Head. So you get a super amount of speed. Iron Head is going to just crush fairies with Stab. Brave Bird is going to crush everything else. You have Roost to keep it going. And that's it. So you can use a weak armor Skarmory, and it can be very powerful. Like if your opponent's not expecting it, boom, suddenly Swords Dance, suddenly Sweep, suddenly that's how Skarmory works. So if you guys enjoyed the video, that's how you use Skarmory, and I hope you all have a nice day.